Let's talk about what might just be the single greatest act of deception in modern warfare. It's a lie so big, so audacious, it literally changed the course of World War II. This is a story about phantom armies, a mastermind with incredible nerve, and a con that went all the way to the very top.
Okay, just think about it for a second. It's D-Day, the single most important moment of the war in Europe. The Allies are storming the beaches of Normandy, but Hitler's most powerful Panzer divisions, the ones that could have absolutely crushed the invasion, they're nowhere to be seen. Why? I mean, that's the central mystery, right? And the answer is almost too incredible to believe.
You've got thousands of ships, planes, and men pouring onto the French coast. This was it. This was the moment where the fate of the entire continent hung in the balance. Every single soldier, every bullet, every tank mattered.
And that's the crucial part. While Allied soldiers are fighting and dying on those beaches, a massive German force, we're talking elite tank units, was just sitting there, over 150 miles away at the Pas de Calais, waiting. They were defending against what they thought was the real invasion. They had been completely and utterly fooled.
So how in the world did the Allies pull this off? Well, it was a grand illusion, a massive deception called Operation Fortitude. And the plan was to create an entire army, a ghost army, completely out of thin air, for an audience of one: Adolf Hitler.
The whole objective was simple, but unbelievably audacious. Convince the German high command that Normandy was just the feint, a diversion. The real attack, the main event, was going to be at the Pas de Calais, the shortest point across the English Channel. It was the most logical place to invade, which, is what made the lies so believable.
To sell this massive lie, the Allies created this phantom army. They called it the First United States Army Group, or FUSAG. And they started feeding intelligence to the Germans that this was a force of 150,000 men, just a colossal army ready to strike Calais at any moment.
But here's the kicker. FUSAG wasn't real. Not one single soldier of it. It was a complete fabrication, a paper army invented for the sole purpose of pinning down Hitler's best troops, while the real invasion happened somewhere else.
So how did they build this illusion? It was like a giant movie set. They used inflatable rubber tanks that looked totally real from the air, wooden dummy planes, fake landing craft. They even created tons of bogus radio chatter, broadcasting fake battle plans. And to make it all completely convincing, they put the one general the Germans feared most in command, the one and only George S. Patton. He was the perfect bait.
So who was feeding this incredibly detailed fiction to the Germans? Who was the one person holding this entire deception together? You'd probably guess it was some top general or a seasoned spy master, right? Well, you'd be wrong.
No, I'm not kidding. The man who arguably saved D-Day was Juan Pujol García, a former chicken farmer from Barcelona who came to despise fascism during the Spanish Civil War. This guy had zero spy training, no connections, nothing, just an iron will and one heck of an imagination.
And that was his motivation. He wasn't in it for the money or the glory. After seeing the horrors of extremism up close, he just decided he had to do something, anything, to help Britain, who at that point was pretty much standing alone against Nazi Germany.
Pujol's path into espionage is just incredible. First, he goes to the British and offers to be a spy. They turn him down. He tries again. They turn him down. He tries a third time and they reject him again. So he comes up with this absolutely insane plan B. If Britain won't hire me, I'll get the enemy to hire me first. He actually convinced the Germans he was a pro-Nazi fanatic and they recruited him as an agent. Only then, after he was already a German spy, did Britain's MI5 finally realize his potential. They brought him in as a double agent and gave him the codename Garbo, because he was the greatest actor they had ever seen.
Okay, so now Garbo has the backing of MI5, and he can finally begin his masterpiece, building an entirely fictitious network of spies all across Britain, all designed to feed perfectly crafted disinformation to his German handlers.
Before he even set foot in Britain, he started this whole operation from a hotel room in Lisbon. He was using a tourist guide to Britain, train schedules, and old cinema newsreels to invent his reports. And he made mistakes, of course. My favorite is when he reported that one of his agents in Glasgow would do anything for a liter of wine. He had no idea that the UK didn't use the metric system, or that Scots aren't exactly famous for their love of wine. But get this, the little errors actually made his reports seem more authentic, not less.
Pretty soon, the Germans were funding an entire network of 27 agents, all of them completely made up by Garbo.
He invented this whole cast of characters: a Venezuelan student in Glasgow, a waiter from Gibraltar, an ex-seaman in Wales. None of them were real. The Germans were paying salaries, expenses, even bonuses to people who lived entirely inside one man's imagination.
The man's audacity was just legendary. At one point, he needed an excuse for why a fictional agent in Liverpool missed a huge naval movement. So what did Garbo do? He just had the agent get sick and then die. To prove it, MI5 actually planted a fake obituary in a local paper. The Germans were so convinced that they agreed to pay a state pension to the agent's grieving and very, very non-existent widow. I mean, that is truly next-level deception.
So all of this, every lie, every fake agent, was about building Garbo's credibility, piece by piece, leading up to the most critical moment of the entire war. This is where the whole con was finally going to pay off.
And here is the absolute genius of his final play. At 3 a.m. on D-Day, just a few hours before the landings, Garbo sends an urgent message to the Germans. He warns them that an invasion is aimed at Normandy. He tells them the truth. So why would he do that? Because he knew the German radio operators wouldn't get the message for hours. By telling them the truth when it was already too late to do anything about it, he cemented his reputation as their most valuable and trustworthy agent.
And right after that, he delivered the final, devastating lie. He told his German handlers, yes, the Normandy landings are happening, but listen to me, it's just a diversion. It's a feint. The main attack, he promised them, was still coming at Pas de Calais, led by General Patton's massive army. And they bought it. Hook, line, and sinker.
The proof of his influence is just staggering. After the war, analysts found that the German High Command's intelligence briefings, these are the papers that went directly to Hitler and his top generals, included Garbo's fake reports 62 separate times. His fiction had literally become their fact.
So what happened to this Spanish chicken farmer who fooled Hitler? Well, for his service to Germany, he was awarded the Iron Cross, a medal that was personally authorized by the Führer himself. And for his service to the Allies, King George VI made him a member of the Order of the British Empire. He is one of the only people, maybe the only person in history, to be decorated by both sides in World War II. And there you have it. A man who was rejected by the Allies, who built an entire spy network out of a tourist guidebook, and who, through pure nerve and imagination, convinced an entire regime to look the wrong way at the most important moment in modern history.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? We focus so much on the armies, the weapons, the big strategies. But the story of Garbo, it shows that sometimes the most powerful weapon in the world is a single, brilliantly told lie. It proves that one person's imagination can be more powerful than an entire army.